Welcome everybody to E-MasterCast, Chicago's one and only live business podcast in front of a live studio audience. We're here at B Speak Studios in Chicago, Illinois, in Lincoln Park. So thank you guys for joining us today. We have a special guest, Mr. Jason Byer. He's a author of Get the Job and entrepreneur, a business owner. He's a great guy. So please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Travis.
Tell us about yourself.
Perfect. You asked me to tell me about myself, and I think back when I was 15, I ran my first half marathon, 13 miles.
Okay, nice.
And the day before that event, my only pair of running shoes just completely fell apart. I mean, the soles just came right off of them the day before. So I have to get a brand new pair of running shoes right before the race, and maybe a mile or two into the race, my feet are bloody, blistered. I cross the finish line, and my white shoes are just stained red. The first thing I tell my parents, who are standing at the end, is I didn't stop. I didn't stop. And to me, that sort of really resonates because it's how I describe myself. It's how I want other people to see me. An always hungry, never stopped, can-do attitude. And I think that's pertinent, that story, for today, because we're talking about personal branding. We're talking about how other people see you and what it is you want to share with them quickly.
Right.
And I think too often when people ask us to tell us about ourselves, especially as entrepreneurs, as people looking for a job, talking to a hiring manager, it's a simple question, but we tend to kind of launch into a resume of sorts, kind of going through our credentials. Not only can it be incredibly boring to listen to that, but it also doesn't, if you're a young professional, you don't have that much to talk about. You don't have a lengthy credential list.
Right.
So my passion of late has been to focus on personal branding and how you sell yourself, the art of selling yourself. Specifically to my demographic, a young professional audience. How do you sell yourself without a lot of resume-worthy material? And so that's why I launched the book, Get the Job, and how to use personal branding to jumpstart your career, dominate the competition.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us a little bit about the book.
So the book was, the inspiration for the book, focused on personal branding, how you sell yourself, without a lot of experience. In part was taken from my career experience, because I think it's been very varied and kind of unique compared to most people. I started with a degree in liberal arts. I graduated from a liberal arts university, as you know, and there's no crutch to fall back on, right? There's no job offer that's immediate. You have to sell yourself if you want a job. Right. And so from there, that was kind of the first unique aspect, and from there, launched a company, a marketing company up here in the Chicagoland area. No family in the area. I moved from Florida, came here for the market and working with small business owners in the Chicago area with smartphone marketing. Okay. I did that for a couple of years, then needed a little bit more money. So I was looking for more of a permanent salaried position and found a temporary opportunity that was just phenomenal, looked great, except it was only 6 months long. Yeah. It was going to give me a lot of experience. So what I realized is I was going to need to take this role and then quickly sell to them why this position needed to continue. So 6 months later, I crafted the position with them that I now hold today. Nice. And so that was another unique aspect to the career. Concurrently, about a year ago, I got hired for a position that wasn't advertised. I reached out to them and said, this is why we could partner. And from there, we developed a relationship. It was kind of cool to get hired for something that isn't posted. We typically limit ourselves to advertised positions. There's a lot of unadvertised opportunities, so that was exciting. That's true. So when I look at all these opportunities in my own career, I look at the inspiration I can provide to other young professionals, that it doesn't have to be so straightforward in your career path. So. Okay, awesome. So you're from Florida. You moved up here. You told us before when we had drinks the other night. Tell me a little bit about your failure of your first entrepreneurial venture. Go through your failure. Go through it again. No, it was a great opportunity. I call it whenever I speak about it. My MBA on the streets. It was an opportunity to learn business and marketing, and learn when it was my money invested. Learn. You invest your own money when you get an MBA, but it's kind of a little bit removed. It's probably a loan. When it's your business, it's your money you've taken out of the bank, and invested in yourself. So it's a great opportunity. Right. I think the biggest part of the failure, there were lots of reasons for the eventual failure of it, and I think in part it was thinking too much about what we thought our audience needed. Right. Instead of what was the business? So the business was smartphone marketing, and so we created an app that would portray the company's brand, the small business's brand, alongside of a text messaging experience.
Okay.
And so this was at the same time as WhatsApp was getting popular, Groupon was in its heyday, and so what we were doing was trying to capitalize on those two markets, right, and combine them together.
Gotcha.
And it was just clunky, and we were trying to force something that wasn't that wasn't ideal.
Right.
And I think it's a problem a lot of entrepreneurs face. We see it in the meetup we're both active in, that people try to think of the best idea. You know, they put all their energy into the idea, and sometimes it's as simple as, it's always as simple as just solving a customer's need,
Right.
not creating a need.
Right.
And so that's, I think, the single point, or the biggest point of failure that I learned very early on.
Okay.
So very happy for that early lesson.
Okay.
And learned a lot.
So instead of having the best idea, trying to find the best solution.
Absolutely.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So how did were you married at that time? Because you.
I was. I tend to throw myself into everything, right?
Yeah,
So I
was the same way.
graduate, I get married, you know, we move to Chicago. I mean, everything's new, and I thrive that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to work out.
Yeah.
Just being very focused and jumping right in. So
Yeah. That sounds very familiar to my life. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So all right. So how did your wife handle the failure? And like what did how did that work?
Sure. So incredibly supportive, right? Anytime you're with a business partner or a life partner, you've got to have somebody who is supportive of. It's easy to be supportive of success.
Okay.
You know,
it is a wife, right? Not a partner.
It is. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I say business
Okay.
partner. You know, so like any person you're working closely with.
Gotcha.
I did have a business partner for that company.
Gotcha.
A college roommate, and I also had my wife as well. So you have to have somebody that understands, the downside. You know, we're happy with the upside, but you've got to be prepared for the downside. So
Right.
incredibly supportive, very helpful. It wouldn't have happened. All those learnings wouldn't have happened without somebody to help you.
Of course not. Of course not. So now you transition from being an owner, being a starter, being a launcher to so what do you do now?
So I consider myself an intrapreneur right now.
Okay.
And so the term is fairly popular, but it's being an entrepreneur, thinking with the same entrepreneurial mindset, but using somebody else's cash, basically, their safety net, right? And so it's typically within corporate America where you're given a lot of free reign within your marketing and what you want to do to achieve success like an entrepreneur, but it's not your personal money invested. So the risk has been removed a little bit.
Gotcha.
And so that's a great opportunity for those who find themselves still in corporate work, but maybe they previously had an entrepreneurial role or want to start pushing into that, to look for opportunities within a company culture where they encourage the entrepreneurial mindset, where they encourage failure, where you're allowed to try new ideas without getting fired if it doesn't work out. So that's what I was seeking for in this temporary position, to provide that salary that I needed at that point in my life after the previous failure. And so it's very helpful. It's very helpful to have that kind of safety net while you're acting as an entrepreneur.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So another question: Who influenced you early in life, and kind of like who's your mentor now?
So early in life, absolutely my parents. I know it might be kind of cliche to say that, but I mean, let's face it, you spend the most time with them, very early on. And I think they have the ability to kind of mold you in a specific direction.
Right.
And parents can mold entrepreneurs by the way they parent. And I'm sure you're thinking about this, with your son. And giving them the opportunities to fail. We keep bringing up that word multiple times, but entrepreneurship is really about trying. It's about trying and failing, and having that opportunity early on in life to not have your parents impose the wisdom that it's not going to work out, but instead let you figure it out. Is incredible. To be able to learn that very early on. And so, absolutely, my parents. I had a mentor that I currently work with for the business. It was my partner's dad, Joe Luminello, and very influential over the past few years. Lives here in Chicagoland, and really was an extension of my parents. Really took me in and mentored me in the marketing and business sector. So very thankful for him. I think it's important to have mentors. You got to have somebody that's keeping you on track.
Right,
so.
Right, and especially the accountability aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Because if you for me personally. If I just depend on myself, then I'm just not going to care enough, So that's why I have to do stuff with other people and with Jill here at BC to make sure that I'm keeping myself accountable.
Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's not a default or a defect. I think a great resource for your audience is if they're thinking that they don't have somebody they can reach out to. Maybe they're new to an area or they're new to a business sector. or they don't have the personality where they want to sit one-on-one or talk to somebody regularly.
Right.
They want it a little bit more removed. A resource like Coach.me gives you a great opportunity to reach out to a coach. It's anywhere from, I think it starts as low as $5-10 a week, and you can have that accountability partner, and it's a little bit more removed. You can find somebody in your sector, and you can have somebody that's providing that accountability. So
Right.
that's a huge resource.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So were your parents, were they entrepreneurial? Or,
No, I think they instilled that entrepreneurial mindset probably without knowing it, but giving those opportunities to learn from mistakes, to try something, knowing it's going to fail. As parents, we know when our kids are going to do something that's not going to work out, but reserving that so long as they're not in mortal danger, reserving that judgment so that they can learn. I think it's the biggest key to early success.
Right. So I guess going from that to this, though, as a parent or as a advisor, mentor. So like, how do you advise an entrepreneur who's struggling right now? Like, do they get a job or do they stick it out in their business? Like, how do you balance that?
I think it comes down to kind of the topic of the book. Of Get the Job is about personal branding, and 75% of personal branding is knowing yourself. Only 25% is actual promotion, through maybe a website or social channels. The majority of personal branding is knowing what you want, knowing your goals, knowing what it is about yourself that are strengths, that are weaknesses. It's easy to say this, but they're very tough questions,
right?
Especially in our hyper-connected age where we don't give ourselves enough time to think. Having the opportunity to stop and think, to really unplug and think, where do I want to go in my career?
Yeah.
And otherwise we just become victims of chance and happenstance. We don't craft the opportunities, right? We just start saying yes to multiple things that take us down a career path that we potentially didn't want.
Right.
So I think if you don't know where you're going to go, or you're an early entrepreneur, or you want to push into that space, know what it is about being an entrepreneur that you like. Get a list together, understand what it is you're trying to go after, because then you have a roadmap, right? Then it's very easy to make decisions on where you want to go, because it's very clear, right? So you can take the position that I took that provides an entrepreneur mindset, because it's supporting your overall career, right? If you've got to launch a career within being an entrepreneur, and you've got to focus on being your own business owner, you can get very clear on which direction you want to take that. Because otherwise it's overwhelming, and you just start making choices that aren't helpful.
Right.
So get very clear, ask those tough questions of yourself. Get the mentor who asks the tough questions of you. Because I think personally we all just kind of give up a little too easy. We're thinking, we'll give ourselves an easy out, but it's not helpful. It hurts our careers.
Right. So. I agree, definitely. So I started reading the book. I got about 50% through.
It's always exciting when somebody buys the book, but it's even more exciting hearing when somebody's read it, right? Because then some people just buy it because they know you, and it's even more exciting hearing somebody read it. So thank you.
Yeah, it is good, right? It's well written. It's got a lot of action steps in it, so I really enjoy it. I'm really enjoying it so far. I'll probably get the audio book because I'm more of an audio person.
Love audio. We talked about that.
Yeah. So in the book you mentioned just like the branding, the subconscious, the subliminal branding, like of Amazon, go from A to Z with the little arrow. I've never noticed that before. Like in FedEx, you have the arrow between the E and the X. And so how do you advise people to brand themselves in that way, where it's clear, like subliminally, what the message they're trying to show? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Not even subliminal, but just like. So how do you advise people to brand?
Sure. So I think personal branding isn't part of logo, right? It's certainly not all. I think when we think of personal branding, we think of logos,
right?
Which is certainly a strong aspect of it. But the logo is almost the last step, right? It's like we believe all of this, and so how do we get a logo that matches that, right? So the first thing before you create a company logo is you have to know what it is you believe, so you can create the logo in the same way. That's why Amazon has the arrow from A to Z. Yeah. They carry everything from A to Z. FedEx has the arrow in between, the E and the X. Logistically, they're moving things forward.
Right.
And so they have to know before they create that logo, what are we doing, right? And have a clear understanding. So it goes back to that first 75% of personal branding. It goes back to knowing yourself, knowing what your style is, knowing what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, then you craft your logo, and that in a physical sense, that's your image, right? That's your headshot.
Right.
And it helps to know, you can have a variety of different headshots, right? You can have something that's more serious, you can have something more jovial, depending on what you're wearing, right? Are you going to wear a suit, or are you going to just wear kind of more of a Mark Zuckerberg, startup culture, dress down type of look? You have to know what it is you and your company stands for to be able to take that logo, that picture.
Right.
So understanding yourself, understanding where you want to go, and then getting very clear on making that show up within your logo.
Okay, so say it's a new real estate agent or a person starting a new business. Let's just do a real estate agent. They're basically an entrepreneur. So you're a real estate agent, you're just starting out. How do you find out what you're branded as already by people? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna have a headshot that's gonna be a logo basically. But how? Like, do you just go around and ask people, or what do you do?
So that's the first step, right? The first step is see how other people see you, right? Because if they're not seeing you the way you think people see you,
right.
One of two things could happen here, right? You're not sending out the right message. You're not sending out the message that you want to convey, which can be damaging, or you're not, I guess you're not focusing on the right demographic, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to send a message that isn't appropriate for that audience, perhaps you might need to change. So I think it's helpful to know what it is, how other people see you, right? So you can start crafting your message. But it's also helpful to know what's kind of the status quo, right? What do you want to, how do you want to kind of fit in a way? So for a startup, dressing down is normally a little bit more acceptable. Right, but if you're a real estate agent and you take a picture in a T-shirt, that's not going to be very helpful, right? So you got to kind of,
choice.
Yeah, you got to work within. These things aren't complicated, to take a picture for your brand. You kind of already have something to start with. But yeah, I think knowing your audience and knowing how people are already receiving the brand you're putting out, depending on how far along you are, you might already have a brand developed, and you can work within that.
Right. Okay. All right. So why should people get a job? You're pretty much like, you're an entrepreneur, like, why should you? I know. Sure. So for me personally, you hear all of the experts and influencers in the entrepreneurial space. They talk about how, quit your day job. I just feel like that's the zeitgeist right now. Just to quit your job, follow your passion, do what makes you happy in life. And I don't really believe in it. Like, I work 40 hours also, and it really helped me and my family life out a lot. You know what I mean? It's done a lot for me as far as just being making money. My wife's happier versus just spending money on my business. And also it's made me more direct as far as the actions I take. I'm not wasting any time. So like, besides what I just said, but why would you advise people to get a job if you're an entrepreneur?
Sure. So I think my book is written for the young professional. That's my audience.
Cool.
They're not necessarily entrepreneurs. That it's written for. It's for a young professional.
Okay. So
the title, when I say it out loud, I say get the job. Right. It's not just any job. It's the job. It's the job you want. Right. It's not the first job that you get accepted for. It's the job that's going to make you feel fulfilled. It's the job that you're excited to wake up for. 40 hours isn't that much of the week, but it can make your week miserable if you go to a job you don't enjoy, right? So I don't think any of us should be a martyr for a job that we don't like. Right. Life's both too short and too long to put up with that, right? So we want to get the job. And so I think it all depends on your personal circumstance, right? If you need the money, if you need to be able to support a family as well, your options are your needs are going to be different than somebody who's just graduating out of school. But the message is still the same. Don't just get any job. Get the job that makes the most sense for where you're at in life and what's going to provide fulfillment. That's going to be completely different from a 21-year-old graduating college to where we are, with our responsibilities and families, but the message is still the same. Find something. For me, it was finding something that provided me that entrepreneur mentality, that ability to take opportunities and risks and to expand my experience and knowledge while still providing a paycheck. Yeah. And that's the same advice you can get for somebody who's 21 who still needs the paycheck, but they don't want to just push papers. They want to do something engaging. Right. And that's what they should seek out.
Awesome. All right. That's the questions here. Let's see what else we got.
All right.
So you're from Florida. What part of Florida are you from?
I grew up in Jacksonville, North Florida.
Okay.
Went to school down in Naples, so I spent the first 21 years in Florida.
Gotcha.
And yeah, both coasts, beautiful. But I just wanted to change the scenery. There's a culture up here in Chicago that you just don't have in Florida, so
Right.
it's fun in both places.
Right. Are you the only child?
I'm not. I'm the oldest of 7.
Okay, all right, nice. All right. Oldest of 7, okay.
You're
How many brothers?
kind of forced into a leadership role very early,
Yes, you are.
very early on. So 3 other brothers.
Okay.
My other 2 brothers and I are maybe a 5-6 year age gap. We're very close.
Yeah.
And so it's fun. I grew up in one room, so very close, with my brothers.
Okay. So any other successful siblings?
They're all very early on.
Okay, gotcha.
I think my favorite definition of success is, you kind of bring this up. It's something I live by.
Yeah.
Is I think it's John Maxwell said this, but success is a progressive realization of a predetermined, worthwhile goal. So it's a progressive. It's got 3 parts to it, right? It's a progressive aspect. It happens over time. It's predetermined. It just doesn't happen. Out of chance. You've decided for it. And it's worthwhile. It's something worthy of going after. And so when you live by that definition of success, we're successul every time we work hard each day towards our goals.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
So what is your goal?
My goal, is to push more into the education space. I'm a business marketer by trade, so I help brands, stand out to gain that awareness as well as leads, gaining acquiring new leads. And I enjoy taking those aspects, which is what I did with the book, and applying them to our personal lives, because I think they're very easy to transition, and the results are huge for a young professional that brands themselves better to be able to get the jobs that they want. So focusing on that entrepreneur mindset with education, and I think, looking at the models, big fan of Tim Ferriss, Pat Flynn, internet marketing, and what I'd like to do is focus more on kind of the education, online education, and working with young professionals.
Nice. All right. So in your business and in branding, so there's the Pareto principle. 20% of the actions you take equal 80% of the results. What is the 20% that a person can do to get the job?
Good question. I think focusing on what it is you want, and I think it's so simple, but we don't do it. We just start to take opportunities. If you I know I'm going back to the young professional, which is my audience that I've worked closely with. But when you graduate school, so many times we just go into graduate school without thinking of it. And I'm almost guilty of this as well. Or I was guilty of the thought process with law school. I planned on going to law school. I studied for my LSAT for a year, got accepted, and I realized that I hadn't given a whole lot of thought to why I was going down this path. On the surface level, I knew I was going to get paid well. I enjoyed the constitutional law classes I took, but I was about to take a decision that was just going to alter, my career path. It was going to create my career and my life. And we too often make these decisions without thinking what it is we truly want and having that list. So I think understanding what you want, what your goals are, and knowing that those might change over time, but right now you're making an active choice. It's a very small price to pay, within time.
Right.
There's no price, of thinking, but a very small piece of your time to get a career that you want.
Yeah.
And to get the job that you only have to apply once. You don't have to have this resume blasting, all hours of the day and night, sending out hundreds of resumes. Focus on the one job you want and pour all of your time into it.
Yeah.
And you're going to see much better results.
Yeah. Is this your calling? Do you think this is your calling? Is your life path, or what do you think?
It's early on. I think it's something I'm very passionate about with personal branding. I'm very early in my career, but I enjoy marketing. Right, I enjoy taking a brand and having it display in the way that suits our goals, that suits our end need. Yeah. And that can be done in business and it can be done in our personal lives. And I've really enjoyed, I worked with over 30 universities to create the book, the career centers of those universities, hiring managers, young professionals themselves, and having that interaction and seeing some of those life-changing changes within their careers is just phenomenal to be able to have that influence. So,
awesome.
Yeah, I do enjoy it.
Okay. All right. Nice. All right. So time's getting close. So we're gonna switch over to the lightning round.
Oh, that's easy. All right.
All right. Let's see. This is the first time doing this segment, so let's see how it goes. All right. So what's your favorite book?
Favorite book, you know, we were just talking about this last week, and it's the only book that I've read back to back. I put it down and I picked it right back and read it again because I wanted to get some of those little things I might have missed. And it's Essentialism by Greg McKeown. I think it just came out this year. It is phenomenal. I think it's one of those books, I've already gifted it out probably more than I have anybody else just in the last 2 weeks here. But it's the principle of less but better. Yeah. And I think we know this already in our consumer lives. We know, you know, go after more quality than quantity. We might not practice it, but we know that. Right. What Greg does a great job of is talking about in our professional lives how to do less but better, and that's incredibly helpful for business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are looking for a job. Don't look at the quantity. Look at how you can do less but do it better. And so Essentialism by Greg, phenomenal book. They've got great audio. I know we love audiobooks. It's got a great voice for that. But no, phenomenal book. I've already read it twice.
Awesome. Okay, so is there a quote that has always been a mantra that you live by?
Absolutely. The success that we already brought up. I mean, it's one that's, you know, I've got it at my home office. I have it at work. Success is a progressive realization of a predetermined, worthwhile goal. And I think that really breaks down. It's so much easier than to feel successful, right? And I think that's part of our motivation is finding things that make us excited to wake up the next morning, right? So if you can look at success as not something that's going to happen in 40 years, you know, but something that's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen by the end of the day, so long as you focus on, am I making progress towards my goal that I've set for myself? So it's incredibly motivating to look at success that way.
Do you consider yourself an introvert or extrovert, and why?
You know, I thought I was an extrovert, right? Because I enjoy talking. You know, I'm not shy. I enjoy conversation. But I think I draw more. I heard this definition from somebody else that changed it maybe a few months ago. At least internally, I don't really care which one I am, but you know, somebody said, well, where do you draw the most energy from? You know, like being an extrovert, introvert is not necessarily your personality on the outside, but it's kind of like what recharges you. And for me, it's being an introvert. You know, for me, it's I read a book a week. I enjoy a good glass of bourbon. You know, for me, it's you know, reading and engaging and feeding my mind, and that, you know, that's more of those introvert activities that develop you. So yeah, I think I'm more of an introvert.
Yeah, I think everybody would be an introvert if they include bourbon.
Perhaps.
What's your morning routine?
Morning routine. No, this is good, and every entrepreneur needs to have one. If you don't have one, you've got to develop some sort of it. My routine starts off with obviously getting up. I don't make my bed because I normally, you know, I know a lot of entrepreneurs are supposed to make your bed first thing, and I thought about how to do this. Maybe I'll make my half because I generally wake up before my wife, and so it's a little hard to, like, I don't know, make a bed when somebody's still in it. I haven't tried, but no. So the first part is I get my oatmeal going. I've eaten oatmeal every morning for the past 2 years. Every morning during the week, so the 5 days, we have fun on the weekends making crepes and things like that. But I do oatmeal every morning dressed up with like yogurt or nuts because it's healthy, it's cheap, and the biggest thing is it's a routine. I follow it. I don't have to think about what I'm gonna make in the morning. It's like why Mark Zuckerberg wears, you know, the same gray outfit. Right. He doesn't have to think about what he's gonna wear to a board presentation or you know what he's gonna do this day. I eat oatmeal every morning. Throw a few extra things in it for fun, but that's essential. So then try to do a little bit of reading. I never check my email. I've in the last year, 2 years, before about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, because I want to separate myself from the I don't know, just kind of working off of fires. I want to try and separate that. So I try to fill that time. It's incredibly addicting to pick up your phone and start doing something. Yes. So I always have a book at the ready. You know, something that's, right now I'm doing Marcus Aurelius' meditations. Something classic that kind of pulls you back to the bigger picture of life very early in the morning. So you start your day off knowing that you know, the day isn't about that email that just came in that you've got to act on. You know, it's about something bigger. Right. So try and do a little bit of reading. Definitely the oatmeal. I'm trying to get a little bit better into journaling. I know a lot of people recommend that, and just starting doing a little bit of journaling. But what I do in place of that is I list 5 things I'm thankful for. Nice. It's a great way to start off. They're never big things. 1 or 2 things will be big. Most of them are very simple. You know, it's just something that comes to mind at that moment. And And yeah, so tomorrow morning I'll be very thankful that we had the opportunity to do this together.
Nice, me too. Yeah, I'll write one down for you.
Perfect.
All right, so if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Ooh, world's a big place.
World is a big place.
Probably
it's
Italy.
Kind of small.
Probably Italy.
Italy.
I spent 6 months there. I don't know, maybe the Amalfi Coast. So beautiful area, southern Italy, and I just fell in love with the area. Traveled all over Europe, but Italy just has a home for me.
Can you speak Italian pretty well?
No, that's got to be part of my habits, right? Because I've tried for the past several years since I've been back, and I say try loosely because it's not a dedicated, habitual routine.
Yeah.
But I need to.
Yeah.
So.
What did you want to be when you grew up? Now that you're up.
The right down the up? Yeah, I think I'm still going up. Yeah, I hope. I love progressing. Well, the garbage man, right? What kid doesn't want to drive a big truck? No, I think it always changed, right? I think the last most serious thing that I thought I was going to do was go to law school.
That's right. Yeah.
And I've always had a lot of interest, but I think that was the most serious one that I really considered, and I still might.
Okay.
I have that option available.
Yeah.
I love to practice, but it wasn't for me at that time, and I was glad I pulled back and made a different decision in my life. But yeah, I think we're all still growing up.
Yeah, definitely. All right, last question. If you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
I think it would be it seems like a superpower to me. Maybe it's not as grand as you're looking for, but
whatever.
I think being able to listen more. I think as entrepreneurs we try to solve problems. We're good at solving problems. That's our job, right? We solve problems and we're great at it. It's very difficult sometimes to listen to somebody else's problem without wanting to solve it for them. It's incredibly difficult in a relationship, right? Because then you just want to solve people's problems. You already have the solution worked out for them and they just can't see it yet.
Right.
And so I think, to me, that's a superpower. It's so hard, just to kind of listen and sometimes just be there for somebody. But I think as entrepreneurs, as coaches, that's pivotal to our jobs. So listening more. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, Jason, for coming on. So how can people help you and reach out to you?
Sure. So the biggest thing is I want people to be able to read the book, right?
Okay.
And so I've got a special offer for all of your listeners. So I want to give away some free books. We got 50 books to give away. So the link is jason-byer.com/free book. The promo code is EMC for E-MasterCast. And so it's free. There's a shipping and printing charge. I don't make anything off that. But grab the book, jason-byer.com/free book EMC. I think we can give a link to that in there. And grab it. If you do like it, please leave a review on Amazon. It's how I'm able to do this and how I'm able to get additional exposure. So,
awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jason, for coming on.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, perfect.